Hi, thanks for joining me today. Today I'm going to talk about my final project for my MSDS deep learning class. You can find all my code on John Munoz 777 and it's under medical object classification, my repository. Right now I'm going to go over the final results. I built a Streamlit app to predict medical objects, and if you go to computerviz.streamlit.app, you can access this app I built on Streamlit. I have 10 medical objects that you can use to predict in a photo. I have face shield, face mask, glasses, gloves, hairnet, hospital bed, a medical instrument, a monitor, operating lights, and scrubs. If you need an image to predict one of these medical objects, you can go to pexels.com to download an image. For instance, I went to pexels.com and I downloaded this image right here. So it's very simple. You just go upload a medical object image you want to predict, and it has to be one of these 10 classes. And the goal is to predict an image that exactly has that class in the image and not a bunch of different objects in the image. So right now the app is running and it's going to predict what this image is. And it should predict face mask. And you can see here that it did predict face mask. It is a model. The overall model had a accuracy of around 92%. So sometimes you will get an error depending on the image. So all of my code was done in Colab, and if you go to my GitHub page, you can find that right here, John Munoz finished deep learning project. So I'm quickly going to go over this Colab that I did for this project. As I was saying earlier, I have 10 different objects that I could predict. And I brought over all this clean data. You can see over here to the left, this is where all my clean data is stored. I have a folder that has training, test, and validation data. For instance, under train, each class has their own folder. So if you go over to face mask, and it's going to take a little bit to load because it's a couple thousand images. You can see here's a face mask image that it was trained on. So I'm quickly going to go over kind of the overview of the project. Basically, I built 10 different models to be able to predict those 10 classes. And initially, my data looked like this. It was kind of messy. Um, Basically, each folder had different images, but each image was named a different name. So basically, I had to clean up that data to make it to the way I wanted it. Basically, I wanted the image class name dot the index of that number. So in this case, start off at 0 through 1,000 and dot JPEG. So I transferred all these different image types to just JPEG for my project. And this was the code I used on my local computer to do that. If you're interested in learning more, you can go to my code and kind of try that out. So basically, I brought over all these clean images into Colab, and like I was saying earlier, I had the training set, the testing set, and the validation set. And I'm quickly going to go over this Colab. I'm not going to go in depth into it because this is a quick overview. So basically, I brought all my images into Colab. Um, I'm importing Python packages. I'm connecting to Drive to make this work. You can see CDing into my project data directory here. And first I'm calling all my classes right here for all categories. So you can see here, these are my 10 different objects I was interested in classifying. I made a class mapping function that's really useful when you're doing object this classification project, because if you have anything more than, let's say, 2 classes, it's kind of hard to tell what's a 0, what's a 9, what's a 8. So this is really useful to kind of see that. So in this instance, I have face mask as 0, face shield as 1, glasses as 2. In Python, it's going to be alphabetical order. So you can see if, let's say, the model predicted class 5. Well, class 5 in this case would be hospital bed. And I wrote a function called show image to kind of show what my images look like. So this is what it's doing here. So you can see here I have some images. I have glasses class, I have scrubs, gloves. And as you can see too that all my images have different links. So I'm going to use this function in Keras called image dataset from directory. And this is really useful because it's going to resize all my images to 224 by 224. I'm going to use a couple pre-trained models, so that's the reason why I picked 224. Most of these pre-trained models need this image size to work. So what I'm doing here is I'm reading in my data from project data. I'm calling that function on my training set, my validation set, and my testing set. Overall, I had 10,000 images, but for each of those classes, there were 1,000. So that's why you're seeing here 7,000 image or 7,000 altogether, 2,000 and 1,000. But for each class, it's important to note that it's only going to be 1,000 images. So that's what I'm doing here. Um, I'm reading it from my train directory. I'm changing the image size, and then I reduced the batch size to 16 for this. You can see here I'm just looking at my data right here. Is what this for loop's doing, and you can see here these are my 10 different classes. That's my class mapping, and then kind of getting an overview of my data, what my data looks like. So you can see here in batches. So for each batch, it's going to show 16 images. So you can see here, this is kind of what my data looks like. You can see my labels, and that's why I say that class mapping was so useful because it kind of shows you what your classes are. So you can see here we got glasses, hairnet, a face shield. Okay, so I'm quickly going to go over these different models that I've built. Model 1 was basically just a base model to kind of see how long it would take in Colab. I recommend getting Colab Pro. It's a lot faster because they give you a limited amount of GPUs on the basic Colab. So what I'm doing here for Model 1, I'm reading in my input data, which is going to take that shape of 224. And then what I'm doing is a rescaling, normalizing my data in the 0 and 1s. And then I'm using a CNN model for this. So I'm using a CNN model, a max pooling, and then I'm using a different filters. So I'm going to use 32, 64, 128, and 256. And I'm going to use a ReLU activation function. And then you have a layer.dense as 10 because I'm doing a multi-classification problem. So you got to use softmax for your activation. Okay, and then I'm compiling that, and then I'm using sparse categorical cross entropy for the loss. I'm using RMS prop for the optimizer, and accuracy for my metric. You can see here that the accuracy was kind of low on this one. Let's scroll a little bit down. Around 48% on the testing data, which is normal because this is the base model, and I only did an epochs equal to 5 just to kind of give me a sense of how long it would take. You can kind of see it's kind of overfitting right around 4. It's going up. And you can see here that it actually is predicting gloves though, so which is good. It's on the right track. I made a predict image function to kind of predict what the image is, giving it an image, predict what it is in class. In this case, it's predicting 0, which is face mask class. Okay. Model 2 is similar to Model 1. I just increased the epochs to 10. Sorry, let's just say 10 right there. I'm doing the same kind of input shape, the rescaling. This all stayed the same. The only thing that really changed on this was the epochs level to 10. The accuracy actually went up a lot, increasing that. Went up to 61%, which is good. You can see my training and validation plots over here. It's still tending to overfit right around 6. You can see that's going up a lot. predicting glasses, which is good. It's predicting Model 3. I really increased the epochs to 30, hoping that it would give me a better accuracy score. And what's interesting, it actually went down. So it went down to 56% accuracy, which I was a little bit disappointed about that. You can kind of see that right around here, the validation loss is really going up, so it's really overfitting. See here, it's predicting hairnet. Model 4, I'm using dropout, which tends to kind of help with overfitting. I kind of changed my layers. I used two CNN layers for each one of these. I also used the max pooling, and I added in the dropout. It didn't really improve the accuracy, which is a little bit disappointing. A little bit from the last model went up to about around 60% accuracy. You see here it's predicting scrubs. Okay, so the next couple of models, I started out with data augmentation, which can really help your accuracy scores. Basically, it's taking in each one of these images and it wants to actually make it where it changes each image randomly. So it's randomly going to flip it horizontal, rotate it, increase the zoom, the contrast, the brightness. Basically, the goal is for each image for it to learn, make it look like it's different. The problem with this is a bunch of these images kind of look the same. If you're thinking of scrubs, it might learn that each scrub looks too similar. So with the data augmentation, it's hoping to kind of make that a little bit different. And this is an example of kind of what the data augmentation looks like. You can see it's taking this one photo and it's changing it a little bit, either rotation, zooming, brightness, contrast. So this is model 5 where I'm using the data augmentation. I'm reading in the input shape of 224 by 224 by 3. I'm calling the data augmentation layer. I'm rescaling my data, and then I'm running the CNN network. And you can see here, unfortunately, it really didn't improve. It's around the same as the last model. Now, what really starts to improving is using these pre-trained models. You're going to see the jump in accuracy, which is pretty amazing using pre-trained models. So I'm using for model 6, I'm using a VGG16 pre-trained model, which actually needs that shape of 224 by 224. So what I'm doing is I'm calling in the data augmentation layer. I'm reading in the VGG16 pre-trained model from Keras. I'm using the ImageNet weights. I'm include top equals to false, and then I'm putting trainable to false. So basically, it's just learning from that VGG model and not my model itself, the data. You can see here I'm calling in that input shape of 224. I'm using the data augmentation layer. I'm using the rescaling layer. And then for X right here, I'm calling in that convolutional base, that CNN model. And then I'm flattening it. I'm making a 256 dense. I'm also adding in the dropout. And you can see here how much the accuracy really improved on this model. Went all the way up to 84% just using a pre-trained model, which is really good. You can see here it's still overfitting a little bit around 4, but actually the loss went down a little bit, so that's good. Um, with these layers, you can actually freeze different layers to actually make it train on your data too, so make it more generalized. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm reading in the VGG model. So for only the last two layers, I'm saying, hey, freeze trainable equals to false, except those last two layers to train on my data. And then I also changed the epochs to 15 on this one. So it stayed around the same, went up a little bit to 86%. Okay. Model 8, I used a ResNet 50 pre-trained model, and for whatever reason, I never have any luck with ResNet 50 with their accuracy scores. This is going to stay the same as the VGG 16. I'm just calling in a different pre-trained model. So right here I'm calling in the ResNet 50 pre-trained model, and the accuracy was actually really low on this model, unfortunately. The worst actually at 26%. So Model 9, I'm going to use the Inception V3 pre-trained model, and this was actually my best model. It had really high accuracy, which you can see in a second. So I'm importing the Inception V3 pre-trained model, the same syntax, using trainable to false. It stays the same, adding in the augmentation layer, the rescaling layer, calling in the Inception model. And then let's see the accuracy on this. Wow, it jumped all the way up to 93%. So we went from basically not even 50% accuracy to using a pre-trained model to almost pretty close to 94%. It's pretty amazing. And then the Inception V10 model basically is going to do the same thing as the VGG16. Use the last two layers to train on my data. It had pretty similar accuracy, but not as good as the regular, just pre-trained VGG16 model. You can see here, bring it down, 92%, so pretty close to 93, a little bit lower. See some of my plots. And then I made a little bit better prediction function here where you could actually see the image predicted, an actual image here. So that's what I made up here. So it looks a little bit better. Before it was just giving me labels 3, 4, and 5. But this actually says, hey, this predicted gloves. Actual image was gloves. You can see here, face mask, predicted face mask. Here's the model accuracy evaluation. You can see here the Inception Model 9 was the best, followed by Model 10, the Inception Tune model. The worst was the ResNet 50, and then we got the base model over here. So basically right here, I'm making a predict image in folder. I went to pexels.com. I downloaded around like 15, actually sorry, 25 different images to test on from the internet. So that's basically what it's doing here. Let me scroll down a little bit to get the actual results. You can see here it's doing a pretty good job. You can see it does mislabel some of them. So in this photo right here, it predicted hairnet when it was actually a face mask. You see here it's predicting gloves, actually gloves. So it's doing an overall pretty good job. You will get some mismatch in categories. And then over here, I'm building a confusion matrix to kind of see how well it's doing overall. So I'll show that. Here we go. You can see with face mask, it's doing a really great job, but you can see with other classes like face shield, it's not doing as good of a job. So you can see here, it predicted 100 face shields, but you can see it predicted that as face mask 6 times, glasses twice. And then overall, it's doing a pretty good job. You can see some other mismatch like hairnet, it predicted on face mask 1, similar to that photo above. And this is just showing it one last time. So I hope you enjoyed this really quick overview of my deep learning project. Like I said, you can find all the code on my GitHub repository. Feel free to go to my Streamlit app and kind of download an image and try it out on these 10 different classes. And thank you for watching.